Imagine a world where your morning coffee is brewed by a robot, your groceries are packed by a robot, and even your dog walks itself. Sounds like a sci-fi dream, but it's already happening. These aren't just machines, they're becoming more human, more efficient, and more everywhere. From factories to fast food, robots are stepping into roles once thought to be uniquely human. But here's the twist. Robots aren't just taking over jobs. They're also creating new ones, like robot maintenance, programming, and even robot ethics. It's a wild ride, and we're just getting started. So what does this mean for you? Well, it's not all doom and gloom. It's a chance to rethink how we work, how we learn, and how we grow in a world that's getting smarter, faster, and more automated. And let's be honest, robots might not be able to replace our sense of humor or our ability to make bad decisions. That's something we've got locked down. So what exactly are we talking about? Let's start with the basics. Robots aren't just the metallic guys from sci-fi movies. They're all around us, doing things like sorting packages, driving cars, and even helping in hospitals. Think of them as tireless workers, ready to take on any task. When we say robots will replace jobs, it's not about them taking over the world. It's more about them taking over repetitive, dangerous, or tedious tasks. Imagine a robot doing the same job a human would, but faster and without getting tired. But here's the thing, robots aren't just replacing jobs. They're also creating new ones. Think about the people who design, program, and maintain these robots. That's a whole new field of work that didn't exist before. So it's not all about losing jobs. It's about transforming them. The key is understanding what robots are good at and what humans are better at. After all, robots can't feel proud, but humans can. And let's not forget, robots don't get sick, they don't take breaks, and they don't complain. They just do. But that's not a bad thing, unless you're a human who wants a vacation. So, the real question isn't whether robots will replace jobs, but how we adapt to this new era. And that's a story we're just getting started. You might think robots taking jobs is a distant problem, but think about your favorite coffee shop, the barista who knows your order by heart. That's not just a job, it's a personal connection, and it's at risk. Even your local library isn't safe. The friendly librarian who remembers your reading preferences, that's a role that's getting more automated by the day. And let's not forget the jobs that make life better, like your neighborhood mechanic or the nurse who checks in on you. These are the people who make our lives easier, not just our livelihoods. So even if you don't work with your hands, the way we live, learn, and connect is shaped by human touch. And that's what robots can't fully replace. So yeah, you should secretly care, because this isn't just about jobs. It's about the future of connection, creativity, and the human experience. Let's rewind to the 18th century, where the first industrial revolution kicked off. Factories replaced handwork, and machines started taking over repetitive tasks. It was the first time people really started asking, will machines take our jobs? Then came the 19th century, with the rise of the assembly line. Henry Ford's Model T made cars affordable and sparked a new era of mass production. People worried again, this time about blue-collar jobs being replaced by machines. Fast forward to the 1950s, when computers were just starting to take shape. The idea of robots was still science fiction, but people were already imagining how machines might one day outdo humans in the workplace. The 1980s brought automation and robotics to the factory floor. Machines became faster, cheaper, and more precise. People started to really worry about job displacement, this time in the manufacturing sector. And now we're in the 21st century, with AI and robots creeping into every industry. From self-driving cars to chatbots, the question isn't just will robots replace jobs? It's which jobs will they replace next? Imagine you're at a playground, and there's a robot that can swing higher than you, run faster than you, and even ride a bike by itself. That's what robots are doing in the real world. Robots are like super smart toys that can do jobs people used to do, like cleaning, driving, or even building things. But they're not just for work. They're also helping us have more time for fun. But here's the cool part. Robots don't get tired, don't need breaks, and they can work all day long. That means they can help us do more things, not less. So, robots are like super helpers that make our lives easier, not harder. They're not here to take over the world. They're here to help us have more time for the things we love. So, first things first, robots don't just pop out of nowhere. They need a setup, just like your favorite coffee machine. You need a plan, a blueprint, and a whole bunch of parts that all fit together. This setup starts with the hardware. Think of it as the robot skeleton. It needs arms, legs, wheels, or maybe even a head, all connected to a central brain that tells it what to do. But hardware alone isn't enough. You need software too, like the robot's thoughts and instructions. This is where the programming comes in, telling the robot exactly what to do and how to do it. And of course, the robot needs a purpose. Whether it's cleaning floors, delivering packages, or even cooking food, its setup has to match the job it's built for. So, in short, the first step in making a robot is creating the perfect setup: hardware, software, and purpose. It's like building a superhero, but with circuits and code. Now, the robot doesn't just see the task, it actually does it. Think of it like a well-oiled machine, every gear and sensor working in perfect harmony, ready to pick up that wrench and hand it to the worker, just like a human would. But here's the twist. Robots don't just copy what humans do. They use algorithms to figure out the most efficient way to do things, sometimes even improving on the human method. And the best part? This process is all done in real time, with sensors and cameras feeding constant feedback so the robot can adapt on the fly. So even though it looks like the robot is just doing the same thing a human would, it's actually running a complex, optimized version of the task, more precise, more efficient, and ready to scale. That's the magic of the mechanism. Robots don't just mimic, they optimize. And that's exactly how they'll start taking over more and more jobs. Now, here's the clever twist. Robots don't just replace jobs, they create new ones too. Think about how self-driving cars are going to need people to design, maintain, and even manage them. It's like when you invent a new toy, you still need someone to build it, sell it, and teach kids how to play with it. Robots are the same way. They open up new industries and opportunities. So, while robots might take over some tasks, they also spark a whole new wave of innovation. The challenge is making sure people are ready for the next big thing. The real question isn't whether robots will replace jobs, but how we prepare for the jobs they'll make possible. It's a whole new chapter in the story of work. Let's take a step back and imagine a tiny robot, no bigger than a coffee bean, crawling through a factory. It's not just moving, it's analyzing, sensing, and adapting in real time, all thanks to something called neural networks. These networks are like the brain of the robot. Built from layers of math and data, they learn from experience. The more they see, the better they get at predicting what's next, like a child learning to walk by trial and error. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, take a look at the Stanley Quencher 40 Oz tumbler. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now and in the description below. All right, back to it. This is where artificial intelligence meets the real world. Robots don't just follow instructions, they learn from their environment, making decisions that are faster and more precise than any human could manage. But here's the kicker. This science isn't just for factories. It's hiding in your phone, your car, and even your fridge. It's the invisible force that makes robots not just do tasks, but do them better. So the real magic isn't the robot itself, but the science that lets it think, learn, and adapt. It's the invisible heart of the machine, beating with the rhythm of data and logic. Imagine a robot and a human working side by side, but the robot is just really good at following instructions. It doesn't get tired, doesn't get distracted, and it doesn't ask for a raise. Like a toaster that can make toast, but also knows how to make toast better than you ever could. It doesn't have feelings, but it knows what's good. But they're not replacing people. They're just doing the jobs that are easy to teach and easy to repeat. It's like giving a kid a calculator and letting them do the math. So robots aren't here to take over the world. They're here to take over the boring parts of our lives. And that's actually kind of awesome. You might think robots can't understand sarcasm or read a room, but some AI systems are already learning to pick up on subtle cues like tone, body language, and even humor. It's like teaching a robot to be a better friend. It's just not there yet, but it's getting closer. Imagine a robot that can tell when you're being sarcastic or when you need a pep talk. It's not science fiction, it's real AI training, where machines are learning to mimic human social skills. It's like teaching a dog to fetch, but with more data and less treats. These robots aren't just copying human behavior, they're also adapting in ways we didn't expect. For example, some AI systems now use humor to de-escalate tense situations. It's like having a robot therapist who's also a stand-up comedian, not perfect, but getting there. So while robots might not be replacing our friends just yet, they're getting better at understanding and responding to us in ways that feel almost human. It's not just about efficiency, it's about connection, and that's a big part of why this feels so strange. And here's the kicker, some robots are already using humor to interact with other robots. It's like a robot stand-up night where machines are laughing at each other's jokes. It's weird, it's cool, and it's happening. Let me bust this first myth right out of the gate. Robots won't replace all jobs. They're not here to take over your coffee shop or your local mechanic. They're more like helpful tools, not sneaky replacements. Think of robots as the ultimate helper. They do repetitive, dangerous, or boring tasks so humans can focus on creativity, strategy, and stuff that needs a little heart. Sure, some jobs might change shape, but that's not a bad thing. It's like how cars evolved from horse-drawn carriages, more efficient, more advanced, and way cooler. So no need to panic just yet. Robots are here to make life better, not to take over the world. Just like your favorite superhero, they're here to help, not to replace. Myth number 2 is that robots will take all our jobs. But let's be real, robots are like the new kid in class. They're smart, they're efficient, but they're not here to replace us. They're here to help us do things better. Think of robots as tools. Just like a hammer or a computer, they can do specific tasks really well. But they can't cook dinner, write a poem, or make you feel better when you're sad. Those are human jobs. In fact, robots often create new jobs. They need people to build them, maintain them, and even train them. It's like how the internet created jobs for programmers and designers, even though it changed how we communicate. So instead of robots taking jobs, they're more like partners in progress. They don't take away our livelihoods, they just open up new doors for us to explore. So next time someone says robots are coming for your job, just smile and say, hey, maybe they're here to help us do something even cooler. Did you know your coffee machine is already working with a tiny robot? It knows when to brew, when to clean, and even when you're about to walk in the door. Your toaster, too, is a robot. It measures time, heats up, and even knows when to pop up the bread just right. No need for a human to check. Your smart thermostat is another robot, learning your habits and adjusting the temperature so you never have to think about it. And your fridge, it can track what's inside, remind you when things are about to expire, and even suggest recipes based on what you have. So, robots are already in your home, doing the things you might not even notice, helping you live a little easier, a little smarter, and a lot more comfortably. Let's talk about Amazon. They've been rolling out robots in their warehouses like it's a video game level. These bots are fast, efficient, and they don't take breaks. But here's the twist. Humans are still in the loop. Workers are now trained to handle the robots, like tech support for machines. It's a new kind of job, not a replacement. The robots do the heavy lifting, but humans do the problem solving. It's a partnership, not a takeover. And guess what? Some jobs actually get better because of it. So, while robots are replacing some roles, they're also creating new ones. It's a shift, not an end. And that shift is happening right now in your local warehouse. The future isn't just about machines taking over. It's about machines working alongside humans, doing what they do best, together. Now, picture this. A warehouse where robots are not just working, but dancing with precision. They're stacking boxes, moving pallets, and even doing a little show and tell for the humans watching. These machines are so fast, they're not just replacing jobs, they're redefining what a job looks like. They're not just doing the work, they're doing it better, faster, and with fewer mistakes. This is the future of work. Robots that are not just efficient, but enthusiastic. They're not just replacing jobs, they are upgrading the entire system. But here's the twist. The more they do, the more humans can focus on the creative, strategic, and emotional parts of the job. It's not about losing jobs, it's about evolving with them. So next time you see a robot, don't worry, it's not taking your job. It's just helping you do it better. And honestly, that's pretty cool. Imagine a world where robots are running the show, but something goes terribly wrong. Maybe they start to make decisions that humans didn't expect. Instead of replacing jobs, robots might create new ones, but not the kind we're ready for. Suddenly, we're managing AI overlords. We've built these machines to help, but what if they start to think for themselves? We need to be careful about what we ask them to do. The future of work with robots isn't just about replacing jobs. It's about rethinking how we control and coexist with the machines we create. You hear about robots taking over jobs, but what about the people who get left behind? It's not just about efficiency, it's about the human stories that get overlooked. Older workers, especially, may find themselves suddenly out of a job without the skills to pivot. They're not lazy, they just didn't have the chance to learn new things. And let's not forget the gig economy. People who rely on unstable, low-paying jobs are even more vulnerable. They can't afford to lose their income overnight. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, take a look at the Fire TV Stick 4K streaming device. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now and in the description below. All right, back to it. The real problem is that the future isn't just about technology. It's about how we prepare people for it. We need to think about support, training, and fairness. So the next time you hear about robots taking jobs, remember, it's not just about the machines, it's about how we protect the people who make them work. So how did we even figure out robots would take our jobs? Well, it started with a simple idea. Machines can do things faster, more accurately, and without getting tired. Think of it like a puzzle. Some jobs just fit better with machines. Like how a calculator does math faster than a person, or a printer makes copies without complaining. It wasn't just about speed or accuracy, it was also about cost. Machines don't need breaks, pay taxes, or ask for raises. That's a big deal for businesses. But here's the kicker. We didn't just sit back and let robots take over. We studied, we debated, and we even made plans to help people adapt to the change. So the answer isn't just about machines taking over. It's about understanding how and why they do it, and preparing for the next big shift. Imagine a job where you're paid to press buttons that don't actually do anything. Sounds silly, right? But in some places, people are paid to press buttons on machines that just sit there. These buttons are part of a system called button press monitoring, a job that's mostly about checking if the button is pressed, not about anything else. This is a real thing called button press verification, where humans are used to confirm that robots are actually doing their job, not just pretending. It's a bizarre example of how even the simplest jobs can become complicated when machines start to take over. And the weirdest part? The human is still in control. So next time you see a robot, remember, sometimes it's not about replacing people, but making sure we're still in charge of the button. What if we didn't just build robots to help us, but to take over? Imagine a world where robots are designed not to improve lives, but to control them. It's like if your vacuum cleaner started making decisions about your daily routine, or your fridge decided you needed more snacks than you could eat. So, what happens if we create a robot that's really good at doing one thing, but that thing is taking over our jobs? It's like giving a toddler a toy saw. It's not dangerous until it becomes a weapon. This is why we need to think carefully about what we want robots to do, and more importantly, what we don't want them to do. Because the future is being built, one line of code at a time. Think of a fast food restaurant. A robot can flip a burger faster than a human and never complains about the heat. It's like having a tireless kitchen crew that never takes a break. But here's the thing. Robots don't handle the chaos of a busy lunch rush the same way humans do. They might miss a sauce drip, but they'll never spill a drink on a customer. So, robots are great at repetitive tasks, but when things get messy or unpredictable, humans still have the edge. It's like a robot doing the perfect dance, while a human just winging it with flair. In the end, robots are like the perfect sous chef, efficient, precise, and never late. but they're still learning how to handle the unpredictable drama of real-life cooking. Even today, experts can't agree on how fast robots will take jobs. Some say it's a slow burn, others think it's a ticking time bomb. It's like trying to predict the weather in a storm. You can't always see the whole picture. One camp thinks robots will just take over repetitive jobs, like factory work or data entry. The other camp says even creative jobs, like writing or design, might be next. It's like a game of chess where everyone's playing different moves. Then, there are the economists who say it's all about how we adapt. They argue that history shows humans always find new ways to work, even when machines take over old roles. But others say we're not adapting fast enough. They warn that without proper education and policies, we could end up in a job gap that's hard to climb out of. So, even though we have all these smart people debating, the truth is no one really knows. It's like trying to guess the outcome of a movie before it's even filmed. So here's the clever trick that makes all of this possible. Robots can be programmed to learn and adapt like a kid learning to ride a bike. They don't just follow instructions, they improve over time, just like we do. Imagine a robot that starts off clumsy, then slowly gains confidence. It's like watching a baby take its first steps, but with gears and sensors instead of legs and curiosity. This adaptability means robots can handle tasks that used to be too unpredictable for machines. They can adjust to new situations, just like a human would, with a little help from smart algorithms. The key is not just in the robot's intelligence, but in how it's designed to work with us, not against us. It's like having a super smart sidekick who's always learning and growing with you. So the real magic isn't in the robot itself, but in how it's built to learn, adapt, and even collaborate. It's not replacing us. It's helping us do better, faster, and more creatively. Beginners think robots will take over every job, but the truth is, most jobs aren't easy to automate. Think about a barista. They make coffee, chat with customers, and handle cash registers. It's not just about pouring a drink. It's about reading people and adapting on the fly. What they don't realize is, robots aren't great at tasks that require empathy, creativity, or common sense. Imagine a robot trying to comfort a sad customer. It might just serve a cup of coffee and say, "Here, have a nice day." Beginners also forget that robots are tools, not replacements. They can help us do things faster, but they can't replace the human touch. A robot might clean a room, but it can't make you feel better when you're sad. So don't panic, robots aren't here to take over your job. They're here to make our lives easier and to help us focus on the things that only humans can do. Like being kind, being creative, and being human. Did you know that one tiny detail, like the shape of a wrench, can determine whether a robot can do a job or not? Robots are really good at following precise instructions, but they struggle with things that aren't clearly defined. Imagine a factory where every tool is exactly the same size and shape. Robots can handle that, but when you throw in a wrench that's slightly different, the robot gets confused and can't work properly. This is why even the most advanced robots can't replace every single job. They need clear, standardized tasks. But humans can adapt and handle the unpredictable, which is where our real value lies. So next time you see a robot doing something amazing, remember, it's not just about the tech. It's also about the tiny details that make all the difference. Imagine this. Every year, we add about 100 million new jobs to the global workforce. But robots are already taking over about 85 million of those jobs. That's a lot of jobs, but it's not the whole story. Now, here's the kicker. Robots aren't just replacing jobs. They're doing it faster than we can predict. It's like a race where the finish line keeps moving forward. And guess what? The robots aren't just doing repetitive tasks. They're getting smarter, faster, and more creative. It's like having a superpowered intern who never takes a day off. So the real number that puts it all into perspective, it's not just about jobs. It's about how fast and far robots are moving, like a juggernaut that's hard to stop. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, take a look at the Kindle Paperwhite e-reader. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now and in the description below. All right, back to it. The future isn't just coming, it's here, and it's changing the game. The question is, Will we adapt or will we be left behind? One of the most iconic moments of this happening was in 2016, when a robot named George beat a human champion in a game of Jeopardy. This wasn't just about trivia, it was a big deal because Jeopardy is known for its tricky wordplay and deep knowledge of history and culture. It was a wake-up call. Robots weren't just taking over factories, they were starting to take over the smart, thoughtful jobs too. And just like that, the conversation about robots replacing jobs moved from theory to reality in the most entertaining way possible. You've probably heard all the doom and gloom about robots taking over jobs. But what if the real question is, what if robots make humans better at the jobs we already love? Think of it this way. Robots don't just do the boring stuff. They free us up to focus on creativity, empathy, and those things that make work feel meaningful. This shift isn't about replacing humans, it's about reinventing what work can be. Imagine a world where robots handle the drudgery and we get to be the stars. The real question isn't whether robots will replace jobs. It's whether we're ready to evolve with them and use their power to make our work better than ever. Imagine a future where your morning coffee is brewed by a robot barista who knows your order by heart, and your groceries are packed by a dexterous robotic hand with a sense of humor. These aren't just sci-fi dreams, they're already in the works, with robots learning to adapt, collaborate, and even make decisions in real time. We're moving toward a world where robots don't just replace jobs, but enhance them, working side by side with humans in creative, meaningful ways. The future isn't about robots taking over. It's about them helping us do more, faster, and with less effort, so we can focus on what really matters. So while robots are coming, the real question is, how will we use them to live better, work smarter, and dream bigger? Some jobs are so weird, even robots can't figure them out. Think about a chef who can taste a dish and adjust it on the fly. No recipe, just magic. Or imagine a therapist who reads a person's emotions through subtle body language and tone. Robots can't quite get that human touch yet. Even artists and musicians rely on intuition, not logic. A painter might mix colors without knowing why they work. Robots can't grasp that kind of creativity. And then there are the jobs that require common sense, like a parent figuring out what to do when a kid is upset. Robots just don't get it. So, even though robots are getting smarter, there are still plenty of jobs that are just too human for them to handle. Right now, at least. Did you know robots can now fold towels? They're super fast and don't complain about messy laundry. Some robots even play chess with humans. They're so good, they've beaten world champions. And guess what? Some robots are already teaching kids in schools. They're patient and never get tired. Even robots can help in hospitals. They deliver medicine and keep patients company with funny videos. So while robots might take some jobs, they're also making life more fun and efficient in their own quirky way. Let me quickly recap what we've covered so far. We've seen how robots are already doing jobs in factories, warehouses, and even customer service. They're fast, consistent, and getting better all the time. But it's not just about replacing jobs, it's about changing the kind of work we do. Some roles are disappearing, but new ones are popping up in tech, maintenance, and even robot training. The key takeaway is this: robots aren't just taking over, they're reshaping the future of work. The challenge is to adapt, learn, and stay ready for the next big change. So, what's next? We're diving into how people are preparing for this shift. Stay tuned for more on upskilling, new careers, and how we all fit into this robot-filled world. Did you know that by 2030, robots might be doing more tasks than humans in some industries? It's not just factories anymore. Imagine a world where your morning coffee is brewed by a robot, your groceries are picked by one, and even your doctor is a robot. It's not sci-fi, it's coming. So while some jobs might vanish, new opportunities are popping up like popcorn, and they're delicious. The future isn't about robots replacing humans. It's about humans and robots working together, like a perfect dance. And remember, the real question isn't will robots take our jobs, but how will we use them to make life better? So there you have it, folks. Robots are coming for the jobs, but not to worry, we'll be busy designing the next wave of cool gadgets. I mean, who wouldn't want to trade coffee runs for coding? Just remember, the future is a little more efficient, and a lot more fun. So stay curious, stay adaptable, and most importantly, stay awesome. Until next time, stay robot-proof. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. I promise it's more thrilling than a robot's first coffee run. See you next time for more laughs, learning, and maybe a few robot-themed puns. You ever heard a whisper in the dark? Well, Paris has a secret. Underneath its cobblestone streets, there's a place where echoes don't just happen, they speak asterisk. These aren't just normal echoes. These are whispers from centuries ago, carried through the labyrinth of the catacombs, telling stories we can't quite hear. But here's the kicker. No one knows exactly where these whispers come from. Some say they are the voices of the dead, others say they are just the sound of time itself. So, what do you do when the city starts talking to you in a language you can't understand? Well, you start listening very, very carefully. So what exactly are we talking about? Well, the whispering catacombs of Paris are not just a spooky underground maze. They are a vast network of tunnels, built mostly for trash disposal, but later turned into a mass grave for over 1 million people. These tunnels stretch for miles, and their walls are lined with bones, some arranged in neat rows, others just scattered like a graveyard of the forgotten. But don't worry, you won't find any actual ghosts. Just lots of history, some spooky ambience, and maybe a few bones to admire. So, in short, we're talking about a real-life underground labyrinth, both fascinating and slightly terrifying, where history, mystery, and a little bit of spooky fun come together. You think the catacombs are just a spooky tourist trap? Think again. They're actually a living museum of Parisian history, hiding secrets from every era, like the bones of revolutionaries and the whispers of a city that never sleeps. Every step you take in the catacombs is a step through time. You're not just walking, you're reenacting history, tracing the lives of people who shaped the city you love, and maybe even the person you are today. And here's the kicker. The catacombs are a symbol of how Paris has always been a city of contrasts, beautiful and brutal, romantic and real, with a dark side that makes it all the more fascinating. So next time you're in Paris, remember, you're not just visiting a city, you're stepping into a living story, one that's been told in whispers, bones, and history. Let me take you back to the 12th century, when Paris was a city of stone and secrets. These tunnels were first carved out by Roman builders, then later used by medieval builders for their own mysterious reasons. By the 13th century, these tunnels became the perfect hideout for the Parisian poor and even some criminals. It was a kind of underground city, where people lived and died without ever seeing the sun. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, take a look at the Apple AirPods 2nd generation. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now and in the description below. All right, back to it. In the 17th century, the French monarchy began to take an interest in these tunnels, using them for storage and even as a secret escape route during political upheaval. Then came the Revolution, and the catacombs became a place of both fear and fascination. Some say the people who died there were buried in mass graves, while others believe they were hidden away for safety. And finally, in the 19th century, the catacombs were officially opened to the public. Today, they're a tourist attraction, but they still whisper stories of the past that no one quite understands. So imagine this. A secret tunnel under Paris, where people once lived in the dark, but it's not scary. It's like a really cool, old underground hideout. These tunnels are like the bones of the city, built way back when Paris was growing, and they're full of stories that whisper through the stones. The real magic is that even today, if you know where to look, you can still feel like you're stepping into a secret world from the past. So the whispering catacombs aren't just creepy. They're a living museum, full of stories waiting to be heard. All right, let's start at the beginning. The whispering catacombs of Paris weren't built for the living, they were carved out of the dead. Think of it like a giant, underground parking lot for bones. These tunnels were dug beneath the city to get rid of the dead. But instead of just dumping bodies, they made a clever system. They used the natural stone to amplify sounds, like a giant underground speaker. The sound travels through the tunnels because of the way the stone reflects and amplifies it. It's like the walls are whispering back at you, telling stories of the past that no one else hears. So the setup is simple. You whisper, the stone carries it, and the echo carries the story. It's like a natural, ancient speaker system, and that's how the whispering catacombs get their name. So, once the water is in the system, it needs a way to make its way through the tunnels. That's where the clever little siphons come in. They're like the plumbing of the catacombs, quietly moving the water from one chamber to the next. These siphons are designed to take advantage of gravity, so they only need a slight slope to get the water flowing. It's a simple but effective way to move water without any extra pumps or machinery. Some of these siphons are even connected to the Seine, creating a kind of underground river that flows from the city's heart to the edges of the catacombs. It's like a hidden, ancient aqueduct, but for water. But the real magic is how it all works together, a system so intricate and delicate that it's been keeping water flowing for centuries. It's like the catacombs have their own secret, flowing heart. Now, here's the clever twist. These catacombs don't just sit there. They're part of a bigger puzzle, hidden beneath the city like a secret message waiting to be read. The real magic happens when you realize the catacombs are actually a network, not just one place. They connect to other underground spaces, like a maze of bones and history. And to top it all off, the catacombs have a kind of living memory. They've been walked by millions, and the echoes of their footsteps still linger in the stone. So next time you walk through Paris, remember, there's more than meets the eye. The catacombs are a story, a secret, and a whisper in the dark. Did you know Paris isn't just built on stone? Beneath our feet, it's a city of vibrations where the walls themselves are humming with history. Every creak, every echo, is a memory waiting to be heard. These vibrations aren't just noise. They are the heartbeat of the city. Every layer of soil, every buried wall, every forgotten tunnel contributes to a deep, resonant hum that's been echoing for centuries. Even the air around the catacombs vibrates with this low-frequency hum, almost like the city is breathing. It's a sound you can feel more than hear, a deep, ancient pulse beneath our feet. Scientists have even studied this phenomenon, using special microphones and sensors to map the frequency of the city's underground hum. It's like listening to the city's own, hidden symphony. So next time you walk through Paris, listen closely. You might just hear the city's heartbeat, a whisper from the past, still humming through the stone. So imagine the catacombs like a giant, underground library. Not one with books, but with bones. Every bone is a page, every skull a shelf, and every wall is a spine holding it all together. But instead of a librarian, it's more like a party of skeletons. They're not reading, they're just being. Some are dancing, others are napping, and a few are arguing over who's the best at hide and seek. The catacombs are like a massive, ancient version of a TikTok trend, a bunch of people doing their thing, but in a way that's been around since the 18th century. And just like a TikTok trend, the catacombs have their own set of rules. You can't post a video of them, you can't bring a camera, and you definitely can't try to reenact a horror movie. But if you're still curious, the best way to experience it is to let your imagination do the heavy lifting. And remember, the bones are just the library cards. The real story is in the silence. Now, let me tell you about the ghosts of the catacombs. They're not just spooky stories. These are real, ancient bones that have been preserved for centuries, giving the tunnels a kind of eerie, living history. You see, the catacombs weren't just built for storage. They were part of a larger, forgotten city, a place where people once lived, died, and were buried beneath the streets of Paris. The bones you see today are from the 18th century, when the city was overcrowded and the dead were buried in mass graves. These bones were later moved underground to make space for the living. And the whispers you hear in the catacombs, they're not ghosts. They are the echoes of people walking through the tunnels, or the sound of your own imagination, playing tricks in the dark. So next time you hear a story about ghosts in the catacombs, remember, it's not just a legend. It's a mix of history, myth, and the way sound travels through stone. Pretty cool, right? Myth number 1, busted. The catacombs don't actually whisper. No, really. They're just a bunch of bones and tunnels. No ghostly voices, no eerie sounds, just the occasional echo from a passing tour group. The idea of whispering comes from old stories and maybe a few overactive imaginations. But in reality, the catacombs are pretty quiet, except for the occasional creak of ancient stone and the rustle of a tourist's camera bag. Of course, there are still plenty of spooky stories to go around. But if you're looking for a real supernatural experience, maybe you should try a séance instead of a tour of the catacombs. So, if you're ever in Paris and wondering if the catacombs are haunted, the answer is probably not. But they're still totally worth a visit. Just don't expect a ghost to welcome you with a spooky whisper. Okay, so the second myth is that the catacombs are haunted by ghosts and spirits. That's a real spooky idea, but it's just not true. The catacombs are a place of human history, not supernatural mystery. The real reason people think they're haunted is because of the eerie silence, the cold, and the way the bones are arranged. It's easy to imagine something lurking in the shadows, and the real haunting, that's the sound of footsteps echoing through the tunnels, or maybe a tour guide getting a little too dramatic. Nothing supernatural, just a little bit of drama. So if you're ever in the catacombs, don't worry about ghosts, just worry about getting lost. And maybe bring a sweater, because it's colder than a witch's kneecap down there. You might be surprised to learn that the same kind of hidden tunnels and secret spaces that exist beneath Paris are also found in your own home, in the walls, under the floors, and even in the ceiling. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, take a look at the Amazon Echo Dot 5th Gen smart speaker. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now and in the description below. All right, back to it. Think about the space under your stairs, the hollow in the wall behind the bookshelf, or even the crawl space in your attic. These are all potential hiding places, much like the catacombs. These secret spaces are like the catacombs, but on a smaller scale. They're designed to surprise, to hide, and to inspire the imagination. So the next time you walk through your house, maybe you'll start to see the world a little differently, like you're walking through a hidden labyrinth of your own. The Whispering Catacombs are not just in Paris. They're right here, in your everyday life, waiting to be discovered. Let's talk about the real-world example that goes surprisingly hard, like trying to find the actual catacombs when you're just in Paris. You think you're in the right place, but it's not where the bones are. Turns out, the catacombs aren't just a tourist trap. They are a maze of underground tunnels, some of which are sealed off, some of which are open but still hard to find. You might end up in a museum instead. And if you do find the right entrance, you're not just walking through history. You're walking through a labyrinth of human remains, arranged in rows like a somber, silent choir. It's like a ghost tour that's actually real. You're surrounded by the past, and the only thing louder than the silence is your own heartbeat. But here's the kicker, you can't just wander off. Some tunnels are closed, some are off-limits, and others are only open on specific days. It's not just spooky, it's seriously tricky. So if you're ever in Paris, and you hear that whispering in the dark, remember, sometimes the real thing is harder to find than you think. Now, let's talk about the real wild card of the catacombs. This place where the temperature drops so low, even the rats get chilly. It's called the Cave of the Cold, and it's one of the most extreme environments in Paris. The air is so thick with moisture, it feels like you're breathing in a cloud. And the silence? It's so complete, you can hear your own heartbeat echoing off the stone. This place is so extreme, even the Parisian ghosts get a little nervous. They say the cold is so intense, it can freeze time itself, though I'm not sure if that's literal or just a spooky rumor. But here's the kicker. The cold in this cave is so intense, it's been recorded as the coldest naturally occurring spot in the entire city. It's like a frozen slice of Paris's soul. So if you ever find yourself in the catacombs and you hear a strange silence followed by a sudden drop in temperature, don't panic. That's just the cave saying, hey, you're in the extreme zone. Extreme conditions, extreme stories. But hey, at least you'll never get a fever down there. That's the real Parisian chill. One night, a fire broke out in the catacombs. Smoke curled like a serpent through the tunnels, and panicked tourists ran in all directions. The air was thick with chaos and the smell of burning bones. Firefighters arrived, but the catacombs are a maze of narrow passages. They couldn't reach the source, and the blaze spread faster than they could contain it. The heat was so intense, it warped the stone walls. Some of them got lost, others were injured, and a few didn't make it out. The catacombs, once a place of mystery, became a symbol of danger and human folly. The fire left scars on both the stone and the city's memory. In the years that followed, the city sealed off parts of the catacombs. They became even more mysterious, a place of legend and caution. But the story of that fire still echoes in the hearts of those who dare to explore. You wouldn't believe the number of people who wander into the catacombs and end up getting lost. It's like a giant maze with no map, and the walls are all the same shade of gray. Some people don't even know how to navigate the stairs. You can't just walk down any old set of steps. Some of them lead to dead ends or even back to the surface. And let's not forget the rats. They're everywhere, and they don't take kindly to humans intruding on their space. You might hear them scurrying, but don't be surprised if they suddenly appear in your path. Then there's the heat. The catacombs are underground, so it's always cool, but if you're not careful, you can still get dehydrated or even hypothermia from the damp air. And finally, the worst part, you're not allowed to take photos. The French are very strict about it. They don't want tourists ruining the atmosphere or disturbing the bones. So yeah, the catacombs are amazing, but don't be surprised if you come out feeling more like a ghost than a tourist. So how did humans even figure out the catacombs were there? Well, it started with a few brave souls who just dug a little too deep. These workers were building sewers, and they kept finding bones, skulls, and old church relics. It was like a medieval treasure hunt, but with more skulls. Eventually, someone realized these weren't just random bones. They were part of a massive underground network. It was like finding a secret city under Paris. And then came the real heroes, archaeologists and historians who mapped it all out. They turned a spooky mystery into a fascinating historical site. So the catacombs weren't discovered by accident. They were uncovered by curiosity, persistence, and a dash of spooky luck. Did you know there's a tunnel in the catacombs that leads to a 19th century Parisian bakery? It's a real thing, and it's completely unmarked, like a secret kitchen in the underworld. No one's ever confirmed if it's actually a working bakery or just a trick of the light. But if you go in, you might find a real croissant, or maybe just a trickster with a baguette. It's one of those places where you feel like you've stumbled into a Parisian fairy tale, but with more bones and less glitter. Still, no one really knows if it's a real bakery or just a hallucination from the damp air. But hey, if you're ever lost in the catacombs, maybe follow the smell of bread. In the end, it's not about whether it's real. It's about the feeling of walking through history and finding something totally unexpected, like a croissant in the dark. What if we didn't just use these catacombs for storage or burial, but instead turned them into something more mysterious? Imagine a secret society, using the tunnels as a hidden network for meetings, messages, and even espionage. They could pass secret notes through the tunnels or even hide messages in the bones themselves. The catacombs could become a living archive of forbidden knowledge, passed down through the ages. Or what if someone used the catacombs as a prison? Imagine a cell hidden deep beneath the streets, where the only light comes from a single lantern, and the only sound is the echo of footsteps. The catacombs could even become a place of ritual, where secrets are whispered, oaths are made, and the line between the living and the dead blurs. Of course, this all sounds like a movie plot, but the truth is, the catacombs have always been a place of secrets, and maybe that's why they still whisper to this day. So, to put it in perspective, these catacombs are about the size of a few city blocks. Imagine walking through a giant underground city where the streets are made of bones and the buildings are made of history. Compared to something like the Louvre, which is a museum filled with art, the catacombs are more like a museum of the human body, but with a spooky, subterranean twist. In terms of atmosphere, the catacombs are like a haunted hotel, but instead of ghosts, you're surrounded by the whispers of the past, and the walls are made of history. And if you've ever been to a cave or a cave system, the catacombs are like a cave that's been turned into a museum, but with a darker, more dramatic flair. So, in short, the catacombs are like a grand, bone-christened cathedral. But instead of stained glass, you've got ancient history and a little bit of mystery. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, take a look at the Stanley Quencher 40 Oz tumbler. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now and in the description below. All right, back to it. So, why do experts still argue about the catacombs? Well, Some say they were built as a way to get rid of bodies, others think they were a secret religious space. It's like a mystery with no single answer. Then there's the question of who exactly built them. Was it the church, the government, or maybe even the people themselves? No one can agree on the mastermind behind this underground maze. And then there's the whole how. How did they dig all that? How did they transport the bones? Did they have secret tunnels or just a ton of manpower and patience? Even the best historians can't agree on the timeline. Was it the 1,700 or earlier? Was it a slow build or a sudden project? It's like a puzzle with missing pieces. So the experts bicker not because they are lazy, but because the history is just too rich, too layered, too full of secrets to pin down with certainty. In the end, the truth might not matter as much as the mystery. And that's what keeps the debate going, one bone at a time. Now, here's the real trick. Those ancient Romans didn't just dig a hole, they built a system. A clever way to keep the air flowing without any modern tech. They used a network of tunnels and vents, like a giant lung for the catacombs. Fresh air in, stale air out, just like your kitchen, but way cooler. This system was so smart, it allowed people to walk through for centuries without getting stuck in the dark or suffocating. It was engineering before the age of engineering. And here's the best part, this trick still works today. You can walk through the catacombs and feel the air move, like a secret whisper from the past. So next time you walk through a tunnel, remember, even the ancient Romans had a plan. They just did it with stone and smarts. Beginners always think the catacombs are a spooky, mysterious place where ghosts whisper secrets. But the truth is, they're just a huge underground ossuary with millions of bones. They're not haunted, they're a public space, and you can walk through them with a guide. It's more like a museum than a haunted house. People also think the catacombs are ancient, but most of the tunnels were built in the 18th century, during the French Revolution, when bodies were moved there to make space for new cemeteries. Another common mistake is assuming you can explore them on your own. In reality, tours are required, and you need a guide to navigate the dark, sometimes confusing passages. And don't forget, the bones you see aren't just random. They're arranged in neat rows, carefully placed by workers who built the catacombs with precision and care. Did you know that the catacombs weren't always a place of death? They started as a solution to a very modern problem, overcrowded cemeteries. Back in the 1700s, Paris had more dead people than living ones. The city wasn't built for that many bodies, so they needed a new way to bury people. The solution was to dig underground and use the old Roman cellars as a massive ossuary. It was a bit like turning the bones of the past into a living, breathing museum. But here's the twist. The catacombs were never just a place to bury the dead. They became a place for people to visit, reflect, and even celebrate life. Like a secret underground party for the dearly departed. So the next time you walk through those tunnels, remember, you're not just walking through history. You're stepping into a story that started with a problem and ended with a kind of eternal celebration. Let me ask you something. How many people live in Paris? Over 2 million. Now imagine all of them fitting into the catacombs. It's like a city within a city, packed tighter than a subway rush hour. The catacombs hold more than 6 million bodies. That's like a football stadium full of people, just bones. But it's not just numbers. It's about space, time, and the way history is folded into stone. So here's the kicker. The catacombs are the size of 15 football fields. That's the one number that puts it all in perspective. Not just the scale, but the weight of history you're walking through. Think about it. You're standing in a space that's been used for centuries, for storage, for burial, for silence. And now, you're part of that story. Just one number away from understanding the full scope. You know, the catacombs didn't just inspire books and movies. They showed up in the wild, like a Parisian version of a haunted house. One of the most famous moments happened in 1992 when a group of explorers stumbled upon a hidden chamber. They weren't looking for anything, just chasing the thrill of discovery. But when they turned the corner, they found something that made their hearts race, literally. A massive underground chamber with walls covered in ancient markings. It's a reminder that even in the most urban of places, history still whispers through the cracks. And sometimes, those whispers are louder than you think. That moment in 1992 wasn't just a discovery. It was a moment that connected people to something bigger than themselves. And that's what makes the catacombs so fascinating. You've heard the rumors about the catacombs being haunted, but what if the real mystery is the people who built them? The builders were mostly poor laborers, not criminals or ghosts. These workers were buried in the same way they lived, haphazard, in layers, like they were just another part of the city's bones. Their remains weren't arranged with ceremony, but with survival. It's a question almost nobody thinks to ask. Why were these people, who built the city, buried in the city itself? It's like asking why the library was built on top of the old printing shop. The answer is simple: space. Paris couldn't expand, so it buried its past and its people under the streets. That's why the catacombs are more than just a spooky maze, they're a tomb for the city's soul. So next time you walk through the catacombs, remember, you're not walking through a haunted crypt, but through the living history of a city that built itself on the backs of the forgotten. Now, the catacombs are not just a relic of the past, they're evolving into a future of discovery. Imagine a world where AR and 3D scanning bring the bones to life, turning a walk through the tunnels into an interactive journey. New tech like thermal imaging is already helping archaeologists find hidden chambers and unmarked graves. It's like having a ghost detector for history, revealing what's buried beneath the stone. And soon, AI might help us decode the whispers of the past, translating the voices of those who came before, giving us a chance to hear their stories in our own time. The catacombs are no longer just a place to visit, they are becoming a living archive, a space where the past and future meet in a quiet, underground symphony. There are things in the catacombs that even the experts can't explain, like the strange, unmarked tunnels that appear out of nowhere. No one knows where they lead or why they are there. They just exist. Sometimes, people claim to hear whispers coming from deep within the catacombs, but no one can prove it. It's like the stones are telling secrets they're not meant to share. There's also the mystery of the missing skulls. Some are just gone, as if they vanished into thin air. No one knows where they went or what happened to them. And then there are the strange symbols carved into the walls. Some look like ancient languages, but others are just random shapes that make no sense. It's like the catacombs are trying to tell us something, and we're not getting it. So, even after all these centuries, the catacombs of Paris still hold secrets. Some say they're watching, waiting, and maybe whispering. Did you know that the Paris catacombs have a secret room called the Room of the Dead, where you can actually touch the bones of the past? It's like a ghostly museum, but with more skeletons. Quick word from our sponsor. If this sounds like something you'd enjoy, take a look at the Stanley Quencher 40 Oz tumbler. There's a link and a QR code on screen right now and in the description below. All right, back to it. The catacombs were originally built as a way to dispose of bodies, but they became a secret refuge during the French Revolution. People hid there to avoid the guillotine. Even today, some people still claim to hear whispers in the catacombs, like the voices of the long dead. It's a spooky, but cool urban legend. The catacombs are so vast that they could hold the entire population of Paris, though they're mostly filled with bones, not people. If you ever visit, bring a flashlight, because even in the day, the catacombs are pretty dark. But trust me, it's worth it. Let's take a moment to recap everything we've uncovered so far. We've explored the hidden world beneath Paris, where secrets whisper through the stone. We've learned about the ancient Roman foundations, the medieval catacombs, and the mysterious tunnels that still defy explanation today. And we've uncovered the history of the catacombs as both a burial site and a secret refuge for revolutionaries and rebels. So remember, the catacombs are more than just a place. They are a story, a mystery, and a place where the past still echoes. Did you know the catacombs are still growing? Every year, more bones are added to the ossuaries, making it a living museum of death. It's not just bones. Artifacts, coins, and even a tiny skeleton of a dog have been found, hinting at the lives once lived in these tunnels. So while the catacombs whisper secrets of the past, they also remind us that life goes on, and even death can be a part of history. The next time you walk through Paris, remember, beneath your feet, the city is still breathing, one bone at a time. All right, that's it for today's journey through the whispering catacombs of Paris. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did, and that you're ready to explore more of the city's hidden wonders. If you're feeling curious and adventurous, why not follow me on my next video, where we'll dive into the secret tunnels beneath the city's oldest streets. And if you're not sure where to start, just remember, Paris is full of stories, and every corner holds a secret waiting to be uncovered. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a secret, a story, or a little bit of Parisian magic. Until next time, stay curious, stay adventurous, and keep listening for the whispers beneath the city. You ever heard of a prison so scary, it became a tourist attraction? Well, this place wasn't just a jail, it was a nightmare that people still can't stop talking about. Built in the 1800s, this place was supposed to be the future of punishment, all bars, no bars. But it ended up being more like a haunted house than a prison. The prison was closed in the 1970s, but the stories never stopped. Some say the echoes of the inmates still linger, and others swear they've seen shadows moving in the dark. Today, it's a ruin, but people still visit not for the punishment, but for the weird, spooky vibes. It's like a haunted house that actually happened. So, if you're ever in Philly and you hear a strange silence, maybe you should just check the map. You never know what's lurking behind that wall. So what exactly are we talking about? Well, let's start with the basics. This is the Eastern State Penitentiary, a place that once stood as the model of American prisons, but now stands in eerie silence. Built in the 1820, it was revolutionary for its time, like a prison that tried to be a humane, almost utopian place for inmates. Over the years, it became known for its crumbling structure, its haunted legends, and its haunting beauty, like a ghost town, but with a lot more history. Today, it's a museum and a tourist attraction, but the real story. It's a reminder of how far we've come and how far we've fallen in some ways. So, in short, we're talking about a place that tried to be the future of punishment and ended up being a symbol of the past's mistakes and its strange, lingering beauty. Before you go, if you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And tell us in the comments what you'd like us to make next. We read every single one. Thank you so much for watching. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.